It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yep, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, August 14th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mostly cloudy day on the way. Could see an afternoon shower, the high 90. Tonight, overnight, mostly clear, low 77. And then Friday, sunshine, high 86. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 73 and partly cloudy in Yonkers up in Westchester County. 72 cloudy in Colts Neck over in New Jersey. And it's 74 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios.
The top 5 at 5.
A subway rider wakes up to an awful surprise. Delivery workers in the city pretty mad at Mayor Adams. A Brooklyn man uses an unusual weapon to carry out a crime. A Long Island mom in trouble for attacking one of her daughter's classmates. And a missing member of the Platters is found in a hospital bed. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. Maybe you were in one of these areas where these intense storms came through here, right in the New York City, New Jersey area. This was probably about 6 o'clock or so till 8 o'clock. This really intense storm came through. Lots of thunder, lots of lightning, lots of rain. And there were some power outages out in Flatbush. Some live wires came down. Outage reported there. This was about 7 o'clock. FDNY called in after this transformer and wires caught on fire amid that heavy rain. The flames extinguished. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. But the power was out. So there were people out in the streets last night because, it was hot outside. You're trying to cool off.
It's really hot in my house, and I have asthma, so we've been hanging out outside so, the heat doesn't affect us. But it's... For most people, because it's extra hot inside the house, you just have to stay outside, enjoy the breeze that we have.
Now, we got word from Con Ed that almost everybody who lost power in Flatbush last night had it back by about 2:30. But when we looked this morning at some of the outages, there were still some in that area, but not a lot, because there were a lot last night. Otherwise, no major damage that we've seen anyway, or reported from the storm that kind of breezed through pretty fast, but it was intense there for a little while. 5:02, 64-year-old Brooklyn man in custody after police say he shot another man with a crossbow in Fort Greene. The incident happened about 4:45 in the morning on Hanson Place. Sources say Joseph English shot this 56-year-old man in the hip. He was then arrested a short time later. Neighbors say it's typically quiet there. And, of course, the attack unusual, given the weapon that was involved.
I'm not afraid of getting hit by a crossbow. I don't think that's a usual thing around here at all. No. More likely to get shot by a gun.
Yeah, that's a little odd. The victim taken to the hospital, thankfully stable condition. English facing charges of assault, criminal possession of a weapon, menacing, unclear whether he and the victim knew each other. 5:03, NYPD. Searching for a man who stole a sleeping man's dog on a subway in the Bronx.
Police say it happened around 6 a.m. aboard a D train in Norwood. The 45-year-old victim was asleep with his American Bully puppy when the suspect allegedly scooped the black and brown dog up and ran off the train. No one was injured in the incident. Police are continuing to investigate.
WABC News Time 5:03. One person in custody after a fire broke out at an apartment building in the Bronx last night. 2 firefighters injured battling it. FDNY officials say they received reports of a fire, people jumping out of a window. This was 4140 Carpenter Avenue between East 230th and 231st Streets in the Wakefield section. Crews arrived on the scene to discover the fire on the 4th floor of this 6-story building. Here's what firefighters had to say last night.
We had reports of people jumping out the windows. It was a little bit of a hectic scene to start with. The companies did a fantastic job getting the lines up in place and extinguishing the fire on the 4th floor. We had a little bit of extension to the 5th floor, which they were also able to handle without incident.
Now, we could not get word on how these two firefighters are doing that were taken to Jacoby Medical Center. A source close to the investigation says there was an individual who was taken into custody amid the flames. They described him as an emotionally disturbed person who has previously been evicted from this building, but so far no charges against that individual. People both for and against a proposed casino in Times Square rallying yesterday. Critics like Jason Lax of the Broadway League say it would affect the Broadway community and lead to more quality of life issues.
A casino can go anywhere. Broadway and Times Square and the neighborhood is here. And this casino is going to decimate the neighborhood and decimate our industry and decimate what is a cultural icon of New York City.
And there were a lot of supporters who showed up, like Chris Kohler of the Mason Tenders District Council PAC. This is a group, of course, that would likely get jobs if they build this casino, and so he's in favor of it.
Hundreds of construction jobs, and I'm sure hundreds, if not 1,000, permanent jobs. And the thing to consider about that is that for every dollar spent on construction, it generates $5 in economic development locally.
Yeah, okay. Chris, obviously a woman there, more from her.
Hundreds of construction jobs, and I'm sure hundreds, if not 1,000, permanent jobs. And the thing to consider about that is that for every dollar spent on construction, it generates $5 in economic development locally.
That rally taking place as people packed the first public hearing over the plan that's proposed by Jay-Z's Rock Nation. SL Green's involved, and so is Caesars Entertainment. But whether they're able to get this done or the foes, the people against it, are able to stop them, we'll have to wait and see. Mayor Adams yesterday vetoing a pair of city council bills that would have increased the minimum wage for grocery delivery workers across the city.
The bills would have raised their minimum wages to more than $20 an hour. In a statement, Adams said he vetoed the bills because they would raise grocery prices. The bill's backers say it would bring wages for grocery delivery workers to the same level that food delivery people make. The Daily News reports Deputy Mayor Randy Mastro played a large role in Adams' veto amid lobbying from Amazon and Instacart. The bill passed the council with enough support to potentially override the veto. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
President Trump says his virtual meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky yesterday was a total 10. He says that's how he'd rate the call that also included Vice President Vance and some European allies.
We had a very good call. He was on the call. President Zelensky was on the call.
That call comes prior to a summit with Vladimir Putin on Friday in Alaska. Trump again says the Ukraine-Russia war is not his. It belongs to former President Biden. But he said he'll impose severe penalties on Russia if Putin doesn't agree to some sort of deal.
If the first one goes okay, we'll have a quick second one. I would like to do it almost immediately. And we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself if they'd like to have me there.
The president warning that this is the first step in trying to get the two sides to agree to some sort of ceasefire or an end to the war.
Certain great things can be gained in the first. It's going to be a very important meeting, but it's setting the table.
Now, Zelensky yesterday said that Ukraine will not give up any territory to Russia and will not give up trying to gain NATO membership. Russia has demanded Ukraine give up land to reach a deal to end the war. While we're talking wars, Israel's military pounding Gaza City with airstrikes ahead of an expanded military offensive there, while the terror group Hamas continues to hold talks with Egyptian mediators. Correspondent Matt Bradley is in Tel Aviv, and he says the humanitarian crisis in Gaza continues.
Palestinian health officials in the Gaza Strip just said that 8 more people have died from malnutrition. This raises the number of people who have died from hunger-related conditions to well more than 200. And all of this is going on as we're not seeing any new additional hope around possible negotiations to end the fighting.
Now, Israel disputes the malnutrition figures reported by health officials by Hamas. It's been several weeks now since Israel began allowing airdrops and truckloads of supplies into the area.
According to Israeli media, we're hearing that Cairo, the Egyptians, this is as opposed to Doha and Qatar, which has been leading a lot of these negotiations, that they're now proposing a new plan to end the war completely and free all the remaining hostages all in one go. It's been several weeks since the Israelis started allowing in airdrops and truckloads of goods into the Gaza Strip, but still, health authorities are worrying and warning that there will be more deaths to come if the situation persists.
Now, I should point out those talks that are going on in Cairo with Hamas and mediators that does not involve Israeli officials, but Israel has not thrown cold water on it yet either. Meanwhile, more European nations have signed on to a statement saying they want Israel to do more to prevent hunger in the Gaza Strip. 5:10 from Israel back to Washington, D.C. President Trump congratulating his administration over the crime crackdown there. The president says D.C. will soon be crime-free with the National Guard troops and federal officers walking the streets.
I'm determined to make Washington, D.C. safe, clean, and beautiful again. It's going to take place very rapidly. Be prepared.
President also says crime stats compiled by local police for the nation's capital have been a fraud. He insists the numbers are a whole lot higher than have been reported.
We're going to make Washington beautiful. We're going to redo roads. We're going to redo the medians, the pavers, and the medians all throughout the city. We're going to take all the graffiti off. We're going to have to remove the tents.
In the first 2 days that extra police were on the streets, more than 24 arrests were made. 5:11. Down to Texas, where a special session of the Texas legislature ends on Friday, but Republicans not giving up on their plan to redraw congressional boundaries as a way to create a handful of GOP-friendly districts. Now, the reason they're not able to do that is Democrats, they need a quorum to take a vote, left the state last week and have no plans to come back until they drop this effort. But here they were yesterday during special session.
If we still do not have quorum on Friday, the governor will immediately issue a proclamation for a second called special session.
House Speaker Dustin Burrows there says the governor has vowed to call as many special sessions as needed. Now, each one costs the state about $1 million. That's when you factor in lawmaker pay, security, electricity for the Capitol building. That's paid out of the legislature's operating budget, meaning there's less cash for other things.
He is committed to calling us back again and again and again until our work is done. Let this be a warning to all absent members. The second session is coming. It is time to get home.
Now, the Republicans have warned those Democrats who've left the state could be arrested. So far, there have not been any arrests. The thought is, anyways, all those Democrats continue to be out of Texas. That as California pushes back against Texas's effort to redistrict. Governor Gavin Newsom, state officials, congressional members, local advocates going to join the governor today to denounce President Trump's actions in Texas. He also hopes to inspire other states to stand up to the Republican Party's what he calls power grab.
There are many other democratically led states that can move forward, and we just cannot sit back passively. And again, it's not just Texas.
On his podcast, Newsom says later this week, California lawmakers will announce a redistricting campaign of their own. Next week, the legislature will move California redistricting plans forward with a two-thirds vote. That'll move it to a special election for voters that should take place on November 4th. And he says this is all a reaction to what's going on in Texas. 5:13. A survivor of late convicted sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein says it would be a huge error for President Trump to pardon his longtime associate, Ghislaine Maxwell.
During a recent interview, Haley Robson rejected the idea of a pardon for Maxwell, who is also a convicted sex trafficker. Robson says she was introduced to Epstein at the age of 16 and recruited girls for the disgraced financier for 2 years. Trump previously said he hasn't been asked about a pardon for Maxwell, who is serving a 20-year prison sentence. I'm Brian Shook.
We are learning a whole lot more about the Uvalde school shootings, and boy, it's ugly. Thousands of records related to that shooting that left 19 students and 2 teachers dead have been made public. Correspondent Morgan Chesky reports Uvalde County has released more than 1,500 pages of emails, texts, and other documents in almost 7 hours of police body cam footage.
Video capturing crucial moments inside Uvalde's Robb Elementary School after a gunman opened fire on May 24th, 2022. The district releasing hours of never-before-seen footage showing a response caught amid confusion and chaos.
Yeah, some of the video shows the police chief there trying to talk with the gunman, but not getting a response.
Police Chief Peter Redondo began pleading with the gunman, barricaded inside a classroom.
These are innocent children, sir. Please talk to me. Please talk to me, sir.
No response is ever heard. Outside Robb Elementary, as precious time passed.
Sir.
Panicked parents heard off camera, shouting at authorities to do something.
The county released the records in compliance with a court order just a day after the Uvalde School District made its records public. Relatives of the victims have called for these records to be released a long time, and media outlets have sued to make that happen. In a moment, we'll tell you about the fires in Colorado. Boy, it's getting bad there. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin Allen.
Good morning to you, Noam Layden. We'll start here on the diamond in the Bronx. The Yankees were unable to complete a series sweep of the Twins, losing 4-1 in last night's series finale against Minnesota. Cody Bellinger home run in the third inning accounted for the only Yankees run in a game that was delayed at the start for an hour and 52 minutes because of rain. New York rookie Cam Schlittler allowed one run in 3 hits and 5 1/3 innings. The hard-throwing righty retired the first 9 hitters until Trevor Larnach walked ahead of a double by Byron Buxton. Up next for the Yankees, still a game and a half back of the Red Sox for second place in the division, and a game up on Cleveland for the third and final AL wildcard spot. An off day today before opening up a 3-game weekend series at St. Louis tomorrow night. In Queens, the Mets fell right back into the loss column as well, falling 11-6 to the Braves after taking the series opener on Tuesday night, up 6-0 at one point in a game delayed 95 minutes by rain. A 9-run outburst in the fourth for Atlanta propelled them to the win. Starter David Peterson issued 4 free passes in the fourth, including a bases-loaded walk of Nick Allen, and gave up Jurickson Profar's 3-run double before Marcell Ozuna greeted reliever Reed Garrett with an RBI single. 3 batters later, Michael Harris hit a grand slam that capped off the biggest inning for the Braves since September 2020, when they scored 11 times in the second inning of a 29-9 win over the Miami Marlins. The Mets gave up at least 9 runs in an inning for the 9th time in franchise history, and the first since April of 2019, when the Phillies scored 10 runs in the first inning of a 14-3 win over the Mets. Pete Alonso had a 2-run single, and Cedric Mullins lofted a sac fly in the first before Juan Soto hit a 407-foot 2-run homer. Jeff McNeil had an RBI double in the second. Peterson surrendered a season-high 6 runs over a season-low 3 1/3 innings. The Mets have now lost 12 of their last 14. Up next for New York, now 5 games back of Philadelphia, first place in the division, and just a game up on Cincinnati for the third and final NL wildcard spot. Kodai Senga will get the start in tonight's finale and rubber game of this 3-game series against Atlanta. First pitch is scheduled for 7:10 p.m. from Citi Field. News here out of the NBA as well. Noam Layden, the NBA Board of Governors yesterday unanimously approved the sale of the Boston Celtics to a group led by private equity mogul Bill Chisholm, a deal that values the franchise at $6.1 billion. The league said the transaction was expected to close shortly, and when it does, Chisholm will take ownership of at least 51% of the team, full control coming by 2028 at a price that could bring the total value to $7.3 billion. It is the largest price ever paid for an American professional sports team, although the LA Dodgers owner Mark Walter has agreed to buy a controlling share of the Lakers in a deal that would put the value of the entire franchise at $10 billion.
Wow.
But that still hasn't happened.
Is that the largest of any sports team in the world, or are those soccer teams still more valuable?
There's got to be soccer teams that are valued higher.
In the UK or whatever.
Yeah, well, I would think so. Manchester, you got all those huge, ginormous... they're more than just sports teams at that point. It's like some of these soccer clubs out in Europe have enough money to run a damn country, right?
Yeah. Well, that's why you have, people from Qatar buying the teams.
Well, yeah.
They're the only people who can afford them.
Without a doubt. Yeah. So, like that team Cristiano Ronaldo was on, out in wherever he was playing.
Yeah, they're paying him a gazillion alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So, that's your Sports Gnome. Justin Alex, 77 WABC.
5:20. President Trump does not sound optimistic about reaching a congressional budget deal. He was asked if he'll meet with Democratic leaders.
Well, I will, I guess, but it's almost a waste of time to meet because they never approve anything.
A deal must be struck by September 30th to avoid a government shutdown. The president says the Democrats will only say no to anything he wants.
I think we're spreading the wealth all over the world, if you want to know the truth, but we're opening them in this country at a level that we've never seen before.
Yeah, but he says the Democrats are being led by lunatics lunatics, and he says America's booming and they need to get on board. 521 out to Colorado. The Lee and Elk fires continue to burn near Meeker, with the Lee fire scorching about 123,000 acres. That was as of last night, burning over 14,000 acres. The other fire, they've lost some buildings in these fires. Crews are trying to battle it, from jumping one highway where then it would go near some homes.
Checking on the structures, the values of risk down there, so being vigilant on that, making sure the fire stays west of Highway 13. Also looking at some secondary options off the County Road 13 as we have folks down there scouting, looking to do some prep work just in the event that things switch on us. We just want to be proactive on that aspect.
Yeah, we were waiting for word to hear if more structures had caught fire overnight. Have not heard.
Structure group was present all along the interactions with all the divisions where we had resources and structures, so they'll continue to remain present on the whole Lee incident as well as the Elk incident for the structure group.
Yeah, so again, 123,000 acres have been burned through. As of late last night, it was only 4% contained. Spirit Airlines raising concerns it may not survive much longer without raising a whole lot more cash.
In its quarterly report this week, the budget airline said it continues to be affected by adverse market conditions, including weak demand for domestic leisure travel. This comes less than 6 months after Spirit came out of bankruptcy. Spirit says it's considering selling airport gates, real estate, and some aircraft to get more money. The airline said management has substantial doubt of its ability to continue operating for another year. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
OpenAI says it's going to put a whole lot more money into a brain implant company to compete with Neuralink, another brain implant company.
Co-founder Sam Altman is backing Merge Labs. It's a company trying to raise millions to work on linking human brains to computers. Neuralink, founded by Elon Musk, has also raised some $650 million this year to continue its work. I'm Monica Nelson.
Is anybody else a little frightened by that? Yeah, I am. 523 up to Maine, where public safety officials are issuing a warning amid a possible shark sighting. There's actually been shark sightings this summer.
Video shared by police shows what is believed to be a 10 to 12-foot great white swimming off the coast of Scarborough, Maine. The predator spotted as recently as Tuesday along a roughly 12-mile stretch of coastline.
That's correspondent Stephanie Gosk. The parks there, Harpswell, Reed State Park, which are popular, have also reported shark sightings this summer.
Our concern was with the volume of people that are recreating and swimming. We want to make just people aware.
Yeah, local officials are warning everybody, a lot of them, of course, vacationers, just be careful when you're out in the water, follow the rules.
If you're not used to hearing about sharks in the water, it might seem a bit alarming, but they've been there all along. Well, it's just that we're now aware of it.
Yeah, you'll remember that horrible attack of 2020 where a New York woman was killed by a shark in those waters up in Maine. 524, a mysterious illness is sickening and killing seagulls along a large part of the Southern California coast.
They're not able to stand, and they look kind of pathetic, and they're unusually unresponsive to people approaching them.
Dr. Rebecca Durr, she's with the International Bird Rescue. She says it's not bird flu. They haven't seen that in a while. The results of other tests for different illnesses, they're pending. But just in a few weeks, the organization has received 17 seagulls with all kinds of symptoms, most of them respiratory oriented.
Kind of like finding an unconscious person on the beach, where they're like barely conscious and can't move. They're completely at the mercy of anyone who finds them, or dogs. They can't get away.
Yeah, so far, no idea what is going on there. While we're talking animals, down in Florida, they're going to get their first bear hunt in a decade. It's become a problem. Lots of people showing up at a hearing yesterday to try to decide whether this thing's going to go forward or not.
If left unchecked, bear numbers will continue to rise, and we'll continue to see bears in unsuitable habitat.
Conservation is driven by science, and that's what this agency is doing here today.
Just because you can have a hunt does not mean that you should.
Hunting bears with dogs will be legalized animal cruelty.
So wildlife officials there arguing that they would have this regulated bear hunt in December, and they would hand out about 200 permits, and they say they got to get on top of the population, kind of what they've done in New Jersey. They've held those bear hunts because the bear population has gotten out of control.
What we presented today is used to manage bear populations over time so that there's predictability in the growth or stabilization or even decline in our bear populations.
Mark my words, it will repeat itself.
Voting for this hunt won't end this battle. It will ignite it. We won't stand for baiting and state-sanctioned animal cruelty.
It sounds very similar to the debate that took place in New Jersey. During the last hunt in Florida in 2015, more than 300 bears were killed in less than 48 hours. How about one more animal story? A woman is the 2025 Florida Python Challenge winner. She won the ultimate grand prize, which is $10,000. This is the annual hunt because they have too many pythons, kind of like bears. So people go in, and whoever comes back with the most or the longest pythons gets this $10,000 prize. And the woman who won it, her name is Taylor Stanberry. She's only 4'11" tall, but she single-handedly wrangled a record number of invasive snakes to take that $10,000 check.
Our competitors this year removed 294 pythons from the Everglades, which is the most of any of our python challenges so far, of which 60 were removed by this year's ultimate grand prize winner.
60? Oh my God. Florida wildlife officials, she should get $20,000, handed the check to her, saying that every competitor is a champion, even the ones who, didn't get the check.
The winner of the 2025 Florida Python Challenge ultimate grand prize of $10,000 is Taylor Stanberry. Please join me in congratulating Taylor.
I don't have much to say except thank you so much for the win and for the money.
Yeah, again, she's 4'11".
Each of our competitors is a champion for conservation, and every invasive python removed from the environment is a win for our native wildlife and habitats.
Yeah, so they'll do the competition. They do it every early summer. They'll do it again next summer because the population comes right back.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, August 14th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. A mostly cloudy day on the way. Could see afternoon shower, the high 90. Tonight and overnight, mostly clear, low 77, and then Friday sunshine, high 86. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. It's 73 and partly cloudy in Yonkers up in Westchester County, 72 and cloudy in Colts Neck over in New Jersey, and it's 74 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. Neighbors in several Passaic County, New Jersey towns have to continue to cope without water. This is sort of amazing to me. Remember, this is a pipe, a 30-inch main that broke open last Friday. And here we are Thursday, almost a full week since, and there's still a fair amount of people that have not gotten their water service back. Now, most people in Patterson, which is the biggest area, do have water back. But in some of the surrounding towns like North Haledon, people still don't have water.
They say 12 to 24 hours or 24 to 36 hours.
Yeah, the water main break has impacted Prospect Park, Haledon. Other officials say progress is being made in these places, but the homeowners are saying, well, all right, 6 days, how long does it take to fix everything?
The majority of Patterson residents do have water.
I think North Haledon and Haledon might be in worse shape in certain instances. Again, we're trying to do everything we can to get them water. And that's the best I have right now.
So in the meantime, the North Haledon Police Department has rented a portable shower system. The chief says it is busier there than they ever expected. People showing up because they haven't been able to take a shower. They never said they've experienced anything like this. During the day, residents have been also getting water from the police station. That's the place where people can pick it up. They also have a well at the police station in North Haledon, so I guess also a place to get water. Others, the police officers have been hand-delivering water to senior citizens. That is, people say, come on, when are you going to fix this?
I bought water, to use it to cook. I use it to, to take a shower and to drink water.
Now, we asked for a timeline of when these people will get water back and how many people are still affected, and we couldn't get answers on either of those things. 541. A mom from Long Island. We told you about the story earlier this week, but we have more details. This mom from Long Island facing charges after allegedly attacking a teenager with a water bottle, a metal one, at Brentwood High School earlier this week. Suffolk County Police say 35-year-old Tony Monroe spotted her 15-year-old daughter exchanging words with a 14-year-old girl as they left summer school on Tuesday. Police say Monroe stepped in to help her daughter. She grabbed her daughter's Stanley Cup, you know, those Stanley Cups that everybody's walking around with, and took it and hit the 14-year-old victim. Her name is Madison Evans, and she showed up at court yesterday as Tony Monroe met before a judge. And she wanted to be able to tell everybody, Madison Evans, what this mom had done to her.
Her mom just came in and started beating me with the cup. I took my head because I saw blood dripping. I took my head and I saw blood all over my hands. And they had to give me 17 stitches.
Now, this was one of those scenes where there's a bunch of kids after school waiting for something to happen. Everybody has their cameras out filming. Security guard tried to keep the two teenagers apart. That's when the mother stepped in. Now, here's what the mother says, because there was two sides to every story. The mother says the kids at the school have been bullying her daughter forever. And the reason she was at the school was to meet with school officials to try to stop the bullying. So when she walked up to the building, she said she saw her daughter being bullied. Well, this is what she did. She stepped in. But here's more from the teenage victim.
She could have died.
This is the guardian of the teenage victim.
She could have died. Anything could have happened to her more than just being hit over the head and having 17 stitches.
Yeah, Tony Monroe faced a judge yesterday. Her lawyer insists it was Monroe's daughter who's being bullied. In fact, her lawyer says it was because of the bullying that she was even on the campus and that the judge should take that all into account. But the family of the victim says, no.
As a mom, you're supposed to diffuse the situation and take your daughter away to see what's going on instead of attacking a kid with a cup.
Now, Tony Monroe has no prior criminal history, but now she faces 2 felony counts for second-degree assault, also endangering the welfare of a child. The judge yesterday releasing her with a GPS monitor. He also issued an order of protection to stay away from that 14-year-old victim. 544. Up to the Hudson Valley, the town of Newburgh. This is kind of an interesting story. A single vote decided the Democratic primary in Newburgh's Ward 3 back in the spring, and now one candidate is raising serious concerns about election integrity. Tamika Stewart lost to Anne Marie Hines by a margin of 151 to 150 in the June primary. But Stewart claims the contest may not have been fair, alleging that Hines violated election laws by offering food to voters in exchange for their mail-in ballots. So this is the allegation, is she would drop off food, hand them a ballot, and then they would hand her the ballot back.
Claims that we were receiving from residents in the community that some of them were being bribed with food in exchange for their over-the-counter mail ballot.
Now, Hines, who is a longtime community figure, she owns a restaurant. She denies the allegation. She says she does food donations all the time and not in return for votes.
I have not in any way tried to sway voters with food. Food is what I give away to homeless people. Food is what I give away to the community. I am known for my kindness of giving out food.
Now, this would not be the first allegation of this sort in different towns across the tri-state and Hoboken, right? The years, I don't know, maybe it goes still on today, but in recent years, people would show up at someone's door with a ballot, mail-in ballot, tell them, hey, can you work for me on election day, holding a sign, walking up and down the street, and give them, $15, $25 for the day, and then tell them to fill out the ballot and hand it back to them. So maybe the same sort of thing where this woman was giving food. Again, she says it's not true, but the Orange County Board of Elections says it will investigate. All right, 546. Let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ella.
Thank you, Noam Layden. We'll start here on the diamond in the Bronx. Yankees were unable to complete a series sweep of the Twins, losing 4-1 in last night's series finale against Minnesota. Cody Bellinger home run in the third inning accounted for the only Yankees run in a game that was delayed at the start for an hour 52 minutes because of rain. New York rookie Cam Schlittler allowed 1 run and 3 hits in 5 and a third innings. The hard-throwing righty retired the first 9 batters until Trevor Larnach walked ahead of a double by Byron Buxton. Up next for the Yankees, still a game and a half back of the Red Sox for second place in the division and a game up on Cleveland for the third and final AL wildcard spot. An off day today before opening up a 3-game weekend series at St. Louis tomorrow night. In Queens, the Mets fell right back into the loss column as well, falling 11-6 to the Braves after taking the series opener on Tuesday night, up 6-0 at one point in the game, delayed 95 minutes by rain. A 9-run outburst in the fourth for Atlanta propelled them to the win. Starter David Peterson issued 4 free passes in the fourth, including a bases-loaded walk of Nick Allen, and gave up Jurickson Profar's 3-run double before Marcell Ozuna greeted reliever Reed Garrett with an RBI single. 3 batters later, Michael Harris hit a grand slam that capped off the biggest inning for the Braves since September of 2020. The Mets gave up at least 9 runs in an inning for the 9th time in franchise history and the first since April of 2019. Pete Alonso had a 2-run single. Cedric Mullins lofted a sac fly in the first before Juan Soto hit a 407-foot 2-run homer, and Jeff McNeil had an RBI double in the second. Peterson surrendered a season-high 6 runs over season low. 3 1/3 innings. The Mets have now lost 12 of 14. Up next for New York, now 5 games back of Philly for first place in the division and just a game up on Cincinnati for the 3rd and final NL wildcard spot. Kodai Senga will get the start in tonight's finale and rubber game of this 3-game series against Atlanta. First pitch is scheduled for 7:10 p.m. from Citi Field. Big news here out of the NBA as well. The Board of Governors yesterday unanimously approved the sale of the Boston Celtics to a group led by private equity mogul Bill Chisholm, a deal that values the franchise at a record $6.1 billion. The league said the transaction was expected to close shortly. When it does, Chisholm will take ownership of at least 51% of the team, with full control coming by 2028 at a price that could bring the total value to $7.3 billion, and it is the largest price ever paid for an American professional sports team. That is your Sports Know, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
A teenager seen riding on top of a train car at the Jackson Avenue 2 and 5 train station in the Bronx this week. Another case of what is just this growing trend of subway surfing that has claimed the lives of several young people across the city. This woman saw the train coming in with a kid. She said it was a teenager on top of it.
It's heartbreaking because there are other things that our youth can be actively and positively doing instead of putting their lives at danger.
Back in July, Mayor Adams announced the launch of a new drone operations committee that works to utilize drone technology to keep New Yorkers safe at city beaches and then protect against subway surfing, so they can see this and maybe get these kids off the train before one of them falls off. Now, in the case of this kid, we don't have any details of what happened to him, but we're told he is okay. My guess is at some point police took him into custody. 5:50, the family of a legendary member of the Platters happy that their grandmother's back home today after she went missing in Brooklyn. 80-year-old Sandra Hall, who sang in with the hit group The Platters, had been missing since last Friday, 4 days. She has dementia. She somehow got on to an Uptown number 2 train that took her into the city, from Brooklyn into the city. Her family members received a call yesterday that they had found her in a hospital in Lower Manhattan, and they were treating her as like a Jane Doe. They didn't know who she was. Here's her daughter.
It's been horrible, but I'm so glad she's back. I can't tell you how much angst, how worried. I would sit out here and look up and down the street and wait for her to come back.
Yeah, when you hear these missing persons stories, especially in New York City, you think, like, where do you even begin to look? I mean, these people are going out of their mind looking for their mother, their grandmother. They initially checked all the hospitals, by the way. They called them all looking for a Jane Doe, but because police found her on Friday when she went missing, and they dropped her off at New York Presbyterian Hospital. But it wasn't until the family started to make moves to find Sandra that they were able to make the connection.
She's been found, so thank God for that. If something happened to her, that would be my fault. I called 7 hospitals to see if she was there.
That's the granddaughter who was her caretaker. You know, the Platters, and I mean, this is before my time, but when I went and looked for a song, I was like, oh, I know who they are.
Only
So they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So Sandra's a big deal. She's 80 years old. Unfortunately, now we're hearing that she's suffering from dementia, but thank God they were able to find her. All right, 5:53. A teenage girl who was killed in a personal watercraft crash in Fort Lauderdale earlier this week while on vacation was laid to rest here in Queens yesterday. It was 13-year-old Rachel Eliza Nisanov, who was riding with her 16-year-old sister. They were in Florida as a graduation present when they hit the dock. They both went flying. Rachel died from her injuries. Her mother and father, they were actually also on the water at the time as well, and they unfortunately saw this whole thing play out. Here's their brother.
And my father jumped in and scraped up his hands, his feet, and his back all over to save them, and he did what he could. Viva was talking a lot about really wanting to go jet skiing, and she took the course, and she was all very excited about it.
Just a horrible story. Officials say the two teens were riding in tandem on this watercraft. They were rushed to Broward Health Medical Center with life-threatening injuries. Rachel's sister, thank God, is expected to survive. Yesterday, they held the funeral for the 13-year-old.
She was able to accomplish a lot in her short life. Hearted, always going the extra mile. I believe that this is what it's meant to be. And God is going to give us the strength to go forward.
Yeah. 5:54. Mayor Adams sitting down with Sid Rosenberg yesterday on Sid and Friends in the Morning. Did you miss the interview? They hit a slew of topics, including why the mayor believes he deserves another 4 years in City Hall.
I inherited a city where jobs were leaving the city, crime was up, our children were not learning at the level that they deserve. We had COVID, 237,000 migrants and asylum seekers, tourism was decimated, and look at where we are now. There's a complete turnaround. That's why bond raters increased my bond rating. I managed the migrants and asylum seekers. 90% of those migrants and asylum seekers are no longer in our care. The first 6 months of this year, lowest numbers of shootings, homicides. The story has not been told of this great recovery in the city.
You can hear the entire interview, the sit down with Mayor Adams and Sid, by heading over to WABCRadio.com. And after you left our studios after the show yesterday, he went downtown, the mayor did, to get an endorsement from former New York Governor David Paterson.
The former governor says Mayor Adams is the person New Yorkers need to protect them. In a speech outside City Hall Wednesday, Paterson was surrounded by Adams and his supporters as he made his endorsement official. When asked why he was endorsing Adams instead of Democratic nominee Zohran Mamdani, Paterson says doing so would be like comparing a lit match to a forest fire. Paterson had previously backed former Governor Andrew Cuomo in the Democratic primary.
WABC News Time 5:55. An upstate New York man accused of stalking and harassing the family of murdered United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
Federal prosecutors in Albany say Shane Daly sent threatening voicemail messages to one of Thompson's family members in the days after he was gunned down in front of a Manhattan hotel. Daly, who's from Galway, north of Albany, is set to appear in court Thursday to face cyber stalking charges. Luigi Mangione was arrested days after the killing and is currently awaiting trial for Thompson's murder. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?